It's time for Sustainable Living with Glenn Boblitz, the show that helps you be prepared to care for your family regardless of the circumstances that may come your way. Now, here's your host for today, Mark Lamb.
All right, last week we concluded with not apocalyptic, maybe that was an overstatement.
No, that's pretty much it.
But you did have a good biblical application where,
well, if you start there and end there, you're pretty good.
Right. So we're going to pick up this week where, we're talking about planting and how I mean, this is the theme throughout all of our broadcasts, but we specifically dial in on some things like okra and peas and those kinds of things,
yes,
and beans, and how important it is to have spices with those beans.
Absolutely.
All right, well then let's go. We'll pick up right here. Right.
All right, let's get back to
Yes,
plant stuff here. Cold crops. I can't get a cold crop not to bolt because of this heat. I've lost probably 90% of my grape crop because of this year's crazy weather.
Okay.
It's not that it was the frost that did it as much as the fact of the heat that came way too early.
Okay.
So my grapes came out too early.
Right.
The little grape clusters that are trying to form, they got hit by the frost, so I lost a whole darn crop.
Mm-hmm.
Normally, the leaves would come out first, just a little bit. You'd see the buds, but that ain't what happened. Clear back in the beginning of March, we were having 80 degrees. That's not normal.
No.
That is not normal. Plants go, okay, here we go.
Yeah.
And frost wasn't even over yet.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I'm done with the early gardens. I'll do fall gardens for a lot of my crops just because they do so much better. So don't plant till May. I've got a little greenhouse full of stuff that, tomato plants are a foot high, just begging to go out.
Mm-hmm.
My wife said, "Can we plant yet? Can we plant yet? Can we plant yet?" I'm like, "I don't know." But we're gonna wait it out.
Yep.
As long as they'll survive inside. We've had to repot everything twice.
Oh, wow.
And you don't want them to be in their root bounds because that doesn't do you any good. So the weather's just, you're gonna have to deal with it. Can't do nothing about it anyway.
Right.
As long as they quit playing with it. Peas, cold crops. The peas are real good because you can actually let them mature and dry them like beans.
Okay.
And you can have them in the bean soups and all that kind of good stuff. Referring to them as shell peas.
Mm-hmm.
So the little snow peas, stir fry in the early development. Once they get a little more mature, you can shell them out and have fresh peas. And if they go past that stage where they're getting a little tough, they become dried beans.
Okay.
So that's another one. Kale. Some kale will actually overwinter. Do you know that?
Mm-mm.
There's a bunch of varieties. The blue Russian kale, it's got a bite to it. It's almost like wasabi.
Oh, really?
I like it.
That sounds good.
Wasabi, when you first take a little bite, you go, wow. It takes your breath and you go, oh, I like it.
Yeah.
So, but some of the kale is so tough, and the leaves are so tough that it'll actually drop all its lower leaves, and that stalk will just go through the next winter, and it'll pop right back out in the spring.
How about
now,
that?
It may bolt on you and put out seeds, but okay, if it's heirloom, collect the seeds, and now you don't have to buy seeds no more, which is smart. Remember heirloom?
Yeah.
Okay. The other thing about kale, super high in nutrition. Now, some people just go, kale.
You've had
Depending on which variety you get,
Right.
yeah, I've said, kale.
You've had kale potato soup, right? I mean, that to me, that's the best way to eat kale.
Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, you make a potato soup and you put the kale in there, and
To disguise it?
well, it disguises it. But I think that the properties of the potato, because you get that mealy thing going on, it does something to the kale, makes it more palatable. For me, anyway.
Yeah, I found that you have to add something with it to make it more palatable.
Right.
On some stuff.
Yeah.
Now, depending on what part of the kale you get, the smaller, tender stuff is not that bad.
Okay.
Salads, eating straight kale or raw kale, it's an acquired taste, I would say.
Sure.
But, yeah, potatoes and kale, whatever you can doctor it up with, it's good. Collards. Now, I am a fan of collard greens.
Yeah, me too.
Especially since I can throw bacon in mine or,
Right.
a little fat back. And,
Yeah.
I don't
Keep
care
your bacon grease, people.
I don't care what that doctor said. I'm going to eat bacon. Sunflowers. Sunflowers have a lot of benefits to our bees. Now, if you have bees, keep bees for the honey or whatever, you understand all that part. But if you have a garden, you better have bees. So you need something to keep your bees around, pretty much the whole year. And sunflowers do good at that. A little small patch of them, just for the pollinating. The pollinators is a good thing.
Right.
But if you get the big mammoth ones, the kind you can actually eat, big as a dime, some of those seeds. You can also press sunflower oil to get sunflower oil, which oil's going to be real important to have. If you don't,
for if you don't have,
if you don't have oil, you've limited yourself on what you can make, and especially like breads and that kind of thing, how to fry anything. So whether you're buying it, storing it, or getting tallow from beef tallow, or you're getting the lard from pigs,
right.
or your neighbor has pigs, but be sure to get that. You need that in your diet. That's kind of the lubrication, just like your car needs oil.
Right.
You need those same oils to keep you lubricated inside and out.
Now I got to share this story. My truck's been making some noise. My old '89 Chevy, and it has to do with, I think, the power steering unit. There's something a little wonky about it. We were helping somebody move out of a house that's been abandoned for a while, so there's all kinds of stuff in there. There was something like a Vaseline that said hemp salve. Never seen it before. I put some of that hemp salve, because I got tired of the squealing. I put it on the inside of the belt a little bit around the wheel of the power steering. And I'll be darned if it didn't take that noise away. So it's just interesting. And we can argue over whether, hemp should exist. It exists, and they use it for all kinds of crazy things.
It's
a very durable
It's been
product.
Around for thousands of years.
Right. Hemp
Indians knew about it.
Right.
And it wasn't for making
smoking.
rope.
Right. Oh, for rope. Oh, that's how they peyote? Is that how that works?
No, peyote's a whole different, different subject.
Sorry, I didn't mean to take us off point there.
But the hemp itself, if it wasn't for hemp, there probably wouldn't have been sailboats, because that's what most rope was made out of, the hemp fibers.
Okay.
So that's just a little tidbit.
Yeah, interesting.
Sunflower.
Yes, sir.
You can eat them. You can make the oil out of the seeds. You can feed them to the chickens. You can just eat them as a snack. The stalks is good biomass. I've grown the big mammoth ones, and they'll be 2.5 inches at the base. That's almost a chunk of wood.
Wow.
In fact, it'd be a chunk of wood when the times get tough. But
right.
That is a good thing to have. The leaves, I used to pull the leaves off and just lay them between the rows of beans.
Okay.
Just as a cover, A, to keep moisture in the ground, B, just to keep the ground cooler in August, and it'll eventually rot right in. So it's got quite a few uses just out of the stalk and leaves. Tomatoes, everybody's, beefsteak, whatever your favorite variety is, but you might want to think about heirloom this time. There's one that's a Cherokee Black. It's an heirloom. Now, they've started to fake that and call it a Cherokee Black, and it says hybrid on the seeds.
Okay.
So pay attention that it's either heirloom or hybrid.
Okay.
Heirloom, if you like that variety. Hybrid, buy lots of seeds, because you can't save the seeds from a hybrid plant and expect to get the same thing back.
Okay.
whatever variety you like. They can really well. You can slice them thin and dry them. Everybody's heard about dried tomatoes, So that's something that you could do. And now we're talking a survival garden here. 1, 2, 3, 5 years. I don't care how long you think it's going to fall apart, but just to survive, you may need all this. They did it during World War II. They called them victory gardens. They were survival gardens. Everybody thinks that they, grew all that stuff just for the war effort to send to the troops and all that, which was true. They did that some, but most of it was so you could survive at home.
Okay.
That's what that was. So the whole country was growing food. If you had a square foot, you put food in it because it was so expensive. So you see that coming, folks. Okra. I'm not a big fan of okra when I was a kid.
Okay.
Because you get boiled okra and it's kind of slimy. You ever had boiled okra?
I have, and I get the slimy part.
But if you put tomatoes in with it, it knocks that down. Now, I like okra and tomatoes.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. All right, that sliminess is actually a thickening agent. So if you put a little bit of okra in your soups, your vegetable soup,
right,
it'll thicken it up into a stew.
Interesting.
So, it's just a little more hearty for you, and it sticks to your ribs a little better.
Interesting.
If you get it tender, while the pod is tender, fried okra, dip it in a little egg and fry them right up.
Right.
Good stuff.
I tell you, I've had the freeze-dried okra, too. It's not bad.
Is that right?
Crunchy.
Never did a freeze-dried okra.
Yeah, we bought it at, I don't know, one of those places like Trader Joe's or something once. It wasn't bad.
Well, that's how you try things, figure out if you like them. Fermented or pickled. I like the pickled and fermented stuff, just about everything. But it just makes things more tender because it starts to break it down. And you get all these spices and stuff that you can add to it. You just figure out how you like it, and that's what you make out of it. We're making kimchi. You ever had kimchi?
No.
Kimchi is an Asian dish, but it's kind of like sauerkraut. The Germans had sauerkraut, and the Asians had kimchi. Now, there's hot kimchi and all that kind of stuff. But it's not just one thing. It's not just cabbage that they put in this stuff. They'll put all kinds of stuff in there, radishes and we actually have these large icicle radishes. You ever see them? Darn things about a foot long.
No.
But you can cut little strips off of them, put them in just like cabbage would be, and it's got that radish flavor. But the fermented stuff is extremely good for your gut biome. It adds a lot of the good bacteria. If you've had any kind of medications that had antibiotics in it, it will mess your biome up in your gut that's supposed to be there. And this can add some of that back. So that's a good thing. So fermented and pickled. Onions and garlic. Onions, we go through a lot of onions because they flavor things so well. I used to eat onion sandwiches as a kid. That tells you how poor I actually grew up. But
well, I like onions myself. And
big
raw,
slab
whatever.
of onion with a little mustard on it. That was an onion sandwich, and that's just what we ate. But they're easy to grow. There's lots of varieties. We actually grow this one called an Egyptian walking onion. You ever hear of it?
No, but it sounds interesting.
The Egyptian walking onion. You can actually eat the bulb too, but we don't even harvest the bulb. We eat the greens part off of it.
Okay.
The tops.
Right.
And if you cut them up small enough and fry them all up, they don't have that bitter flavor like a typical onion top would have.
Okay.
So they're excellent in anything that you would typically just cut up an onion to put in.
I will say this, onions will grow anywhere. I've got onions growing in places in my backyard that I didn't plant them.
Yeah,
They seem to be popping up.
they're tough.
Yeah, they are tough.
They winter fairly well too. But the Egyptian walking onion, it reproduces not through seed. It puts out baby onions at the top, and you can look this up. And it's really cool. In fact, they're developing right now at this point. But by July, there'll be 10 little onions growing at the top, and you just snap them off and put them in.
Okay.
Now, why they call them a walking onion? Because the stem will get about 3 feet tall,
Okay.
get top heavy, fall over, and move 3 feet. Now you've got an onion set that's hit the ground 3 feet away, and you let it sit there a month or so. Now you're going to have onions 3 feet away.
How about that?
They're very prolific. I had some in my flower bed, and they got just too many of them. So
Okay.
I had a whole wheelbarrow load, pulled them up, took them over to the edge of the wood line, and threw them over there, which was probably 100 yards away. I didn't pay any attention to that. While I was pulling it in my truck, I looked over there and going, wow, there's daggone onions growing over. All of them rerooted. And it was a crop in the middle of the woods. So these things are tough. They will survive.
Mm-hmm.
So it's an heirloom that you can get new onions from.
Okay.
And you don't have to, be so meticulous with the little seeds and all. They put out an onion. They put out a little onion at the top. You just pull it off and plant it in. I mean, even a simple-minded guy like me can do that one. But the walking onion, that's just one of them.
Okay.
The big yellow onions, if you want a big onion, that's a 2-year operation. Did you know that?
I did not.
Your first year, they'll get about 1.5 inches round. You pull them up, you dry them out. Next year, you replant them again, and then you get a nice big one, like the big Vidalia onions everybody likes. That's
Nice.
a 2-year operation.
Wow.
Now, you can get smaller onions that do okay. When you get by onion sets, you ever hear somebody say an onion set?
Mm-mm.
That's a little bag of onions, a set of onions.
Yeah. Okay.
And they may only be 3/4 to 1 inch around. And when you plant them, that's the second year for them. So they'll get about 2 inches round. But if you like the nice, great big one, it's a 2-year adventure.
Yeah.
The garlics. Garlic's been around a long time, a lot of medicinal purposes.
Yes.
We like, for storing purposes, hard-neck garlic. Where it comes up and the stem comes up and puts those big wide leaves out you see, that stem at the bottom gets real hard. And the top part, when you snap them over and let them dry, get kind of leathery. And they would lace them together, actually weave them together, and they would hang them.
Interesting.
And that's how they were stored.
Okay.
Some people would put them in a little net bag, cut the whole top off, but leave that hard neck, and so it doesn't get infections and stuff in it and rot. But garlic will last a long time, and you use them in a lot. It's going to be probably one of your easiest spices that you can grow, because a lot of our spices come from overseas. The Indian market, I think about 80% of the spices you see on the shelf are from a different country.
Okay.
India has a spice market where you might see a 500-pound bag of cloves.
Wow.
And people come from all over the world to that little third world market.
Right.
I mean, you will see literally people carrying that stuff on their head. That's how backwards that little area is. But it's a spice market. It's been operating for like 2,000 years.
How about that?
So this is what those people do. My sister actually went there, both my sisters, and she said when you go into the town where the big spice market is, you know you're there because the smell is unbelievable.
Oh, I can imagine.
It may be cinnamon one day and garlic the next. So it's going to be important to be able to flavor things. If your idea of saving up for food is rice and beans because that's what you could afford, and believe me, folks, I have saved rice and beans too. I've been there, done that. That's what you can afford. That'll get you through.
It's very flat though for taste.
Yeah, to eat that 7 days a week would get kind of boring. But if you could doctor it up,
Yeah, sure.
you know, and make different soups and that kind of thing, it'd be beneficial to you. We can't grow our own pepper. You can grow peppers, but not the peppercorn, the black pepper that we all like.
Right.
That's a very unique flavor.
Right, sure.
Black pepper does. You can grow peppers for the heat, you know,
Yeah.
of any variety you want. I mean, you can light you up or be very mild. So that's another spice. So there's some things that you can grow or buy and save up, which I suggest. Get plenty of salt. You use a lot of salt. So we went through the onions and garlic. Spinach, there's so many benefits, nutritionally wise, in the spinach. We haven't bought spinach in about 8-10 years.
Okay, you've grown it?
No, because I don't want to be poisoned with some recall.
Right.
There's too many hands in this stuff.
Right. The E. coli and all that kind
Yeah,
of stuff.
it is. It's not easily mechanized, so people have to handle it. When people handle it, it's subject to get contaminated.
Right. True.
And it will hold bacteria. The second thing is they put it in a little greenhouse package, which is perfect for bacteria to grow in.
Right.
You go buy a little package from the store, in one of them little, see-through packs.
Yeah.
That's a little greenhouse that the bacteria can grow in.
Sure.
So that's why the people are getting so sick, is because they're holding these things too long. They're not checking them well enough. I mean, they're being handled by the lowest bidder. You know what I mean?
Well, and they don't. I mean, they're not. Some of these countries, sanitation isn't the biggest priority. Let's just put it that way.
Mexico's a big offender. They're interested in money, and that's it.
Yeah.
But the spinach is winter hardy. It'll take snow. It'll take a good hard freeze. It won't take a sustained, long, 3-day, 14-degree freeze.
All right.
But you can throw straw over it. When the blast is over, you open it up, knock the snow off of it, and that stuff will take right back off.
Right.
So it high nutrition, winter hardy, good thing to have. And you need those greens during the wintertime, especially, or in that late part of the year or the early part of spring. They start good. So you need those phytonutrients that you get out of the our green foods. Potatoes. Some people just like certain varieties of potatoes. That's all there is to it. Some people are just true russet. Some people like, the red potatoes, the little small red potatoes. Some people just think they're wonderful. I like the Kennebecks. Kennebec white, because they store. They're a good solid potato. They're not real mealy.
Okay.
But storage-wise, that's what you're looking for. So learn to grow the potatoes. Okay. It's a good starch. It's a good staple, which you're probably going to need. Sweet potatoes, probably my favorite thing to grow and store. They're so tough that they could store all winter. Typical potatoes will not store all winter.
Okay.
It's really hard to get them to not sprout and just turn into a little wrinkled mass. But the sweet potato is a little different. It'll survive all winter long, and you can grow a lot of them. They grow from little slips, little cuttings, if you will. Buy them just about anywhere. But when you're growing them, how would you get it for the next year if the crap hits the fan and nobody's carrying them next year?
Right.
You can actually bury that vine, overwinter it in mulch. You may have to dig through and find that little piece that survived. But if you can get that little piece to survive, and then vines can get very big, it will take off the following year. So you may have to do a little research on what's the best way to keep your slips alive. But the information is out there. And a lot of this stuff you're probably going to have to learn to grow, and you should probably learn it pretty quick. The greens of a sweet potato are actually edible also, the leaves.
Okay.
Super high in nutrition, kind of like spinach. Not quite as high as spinach, but really good. You can actually have that sweet potato flavor come through just the leaves, the greens.
Interesting.
There's several different kinds of sweet potatoes. The little Oriental ones that are as big as your thumb, and there'll be a million of them. Or you can grow the big Beauregard, which comes out of the South, especially the Carolinas. Great big sweet potato. It may weigh 2 pounds. And that's an entire meal, one
Holy
potato,
cow. Yeah, sure.
Wow. A little cinnamon and butter.
I love me a sweet potato.
So,
and mashing it for breakfast. We did that for a while. You mash them, and that'll make a hearty breakfast.
Sweet potato pie. Now we're talking. So all these things that I've told you to grow are fairly easy to grow, are traditionally grown, and could have 2 to 3 different uses of it. So nutritionally, you need to have that stuff in your garden so you stay healthy, and that's what it's all about, is the nutrition. And let's not forget to look at the psychological effect of having a bowl of beans with a little bit of onion in it and a little piece of bacon and some salt and pepper, and then it becomes a meal. It doesn't become a drudgery of, gosh, beans again.
Right.
You want that variety. It's a psychological thing, folks. I spent some time in the military where we had nothing to eat but MREs. Now, you're not even supposed to eat those things more than 3 days in a row because they'll lock your system up.
Right.
And we had them for too long. So when we actually got back and got real food again, it tasted so good. Same way with rice and beans.
Right.
If you're eating plain rice and beans, that's pretty boring. All of a sudden, you put a piece of garlic in, a little piece of salt pork or whatever in it. Then you go, okay, that is so great. That you're going to need that kind of psychological boost.
Sure.
Because when times get tough, I mean, it wears you down. It'll wear your family down, wears children down extremely fast. So you're going to have to keep things for them to do, and a garden's a real good way to do it.
Yeah.
Let them have their own garden, their own row. You plant anything you want. And my parents did that to me, I think just to get me out of the house, but that's a whole other story. But it was the start of my gardening career. I was proud of my tomatoes.
Yeah.
And to see my dad smile when he's eating the tomato sandwich was a good thing. So there's benefits to it. It was psychological. So gear up, folks. It may be a little tight year for you. And that's about all I got for today.
All right, Glenn. Well, thank you. We appreciate it. If you have a question, what's the best way to get a hold of you?
Just right on Facebook. Give me a little Facebook post there and ask a question, as many as you want.
All right. That's Sustainable Living Made Easy with Glenn Bulblitz. Thanks again, Glenn.
Thank you.
Join us again next week for Sustainable Living with Glenn Bulblitz, helping you be prepared and not scared. This podcast drops every Friday anywhere you get your podcast.